Welcome to a Saturday Creature Guide live stream. Let's get into some fun animal news. So, starting with people.com, last of nine giraffes stranded on flooded Kenyan Island floated to safety, a significant success. One of the final Ross giraffes to make the trip to the flooded Kenyan Island, a new sanctuary, and a custom barge is a calf born on the island in December. So, just to let those who don't know, the Rothschild giraffes are actually a specific species of giraffe, not just belonging to the group. Wow. Okay, this is pretty active. This seems like a pretty tedious capture operation. So it seems to be releasing them. Nine endangered Rothschild's giraffes are finally back on solid ground. The efforts to rescue the animals started 15 months ago after rising waters caused flooding around Kenya's Lake Baringo in early 2020. According to a release from Save Giraffes Now, a nonprofit committed to saving giraffes from extinction, the flooding stranded group of Rothschild's giraffes on the lake's Lungikaro Island, cutting the animals off from the resources they needed to survive. After learning of the giraffes' dire situation, Save Giraffes Now, the Ruko Community Conservancy, the Northern Rangelands Trust, and the Kenya Wildlife Service worked together to make a rescue plan. Wow. So we've got a lot of people correlating with this specific capture operation. So this is really neat to see. The fruits of this collaboration resulted in the creation of a custom barge named the Giraffe and a 4,400-acre sanctuary on the mainland for the animals. Well, that's good to see. Um, just the advertisements. Rescuers use the Garaft to float the animals and one by one from the flooded island to the fenced sanctuary built for them within the 44,000 acre Ruko Conservancy. That's interesting. Before it said 4,400 acres, and now it's saying 44,000. I would say the 44,000 definitely looks like much. It looks much more appealing for the animals. Let's see. We felt a great sense of urgency to complete this rescue with giraffes undergoing a silent extinction. Everyone we can protect matters, making this rescue an important step in supporting the survival of the species. When you're looking at the country of Kenya, there's somewhere around, I think 30, 35 to 40,000 giraffes within the region, comprising of at least three different species. So let's take a deeper look. Oh, wow. That's interesting. We only see one. Maybe it was a constant process, just one by one, taking the giraffes. Maybe it's a short trip, but that's really neat to see. Ruko rangers introduced the giraffe to the animals before they boarded, leaving the giraffe's favorite treats inside the barge, so they got used to the idea of getting on and off the vessel voluntarily. Now, wow, it's like they get their own calm, relaxing cruise or ferry trip, which cruises to me always seem terrifying and claustrophobic. And December 2020, they started floating the animals to the sanctuary, only moving the giraffes when it was safe. Yeah, it looks like it's just one by one, which is probably a smart thing. It's not too cluttered with other individuals. They start biting and hurting each other. They can become easily overstressed. They are social animals, but they have a better time dealing with being solitary for a certain amount of time compared to animals like elephants. So, this is probably the best way to manage this operation. On April 12th, the rescue mission came to an end when the last giraffe stepped off the raft and into the sanctuary. Among the final giraffes to make the trek was Noel, a giraffe calf born on the flooded island around Christmas time. So let's see. Rescuers waited until the calf was strong enough to make the barge journey to the sanctuary comfortably before moving her. Oh, wow, it is a calf. That must have been born very recently.
It looked much larger in the picture, or the
Um,
other picture.
that was, I think that was an older individual because, its neck was far above the railing. This one's barely taller than the crew themselves. Um, yeah, I'm guessing it can't be more than a couple months old at most. Now, All of the giraffes are together again inside their new sanctuary, where rangers say the animals are looking happy and healthy. Protecting this group is especially important with so few Rothschild giraffes left in the world. Today, fewer than 3,000 of these giraffes are left in Africa. Wow, that is quite small for the species, with only about 800 in Kenya. I believe Rothschilds are also known as Nubian giraffes. So it's one of those animals that has a few names for its specific species. And look at, is it a he? I think yeah, it's a he. Look at him go. KWS is keen to grow the numbers of Rothschild giraffes in the country. The management of Rootco Sanctuary, in collaboration with the local community, has done a commendable job in efforts to conserve this rare species. Indeed, Rootco Sanctuary is a model conservation initiative worth replicating elsewhere. Not only did this groundbreaking project save these giraffes, but it also marks their reintroduction to the mainland for the first time in 70 years. This rescue is a significant success for both of those reasons. I'm not too familiar with this specific sanctuary, so I wonder where specifically it's located. I'm guessing it's adjacent to the coast. Very likely very far off from like Masai Mara or Serengeti ecosystem, since that's situated within south central Kenya and even the other parts, like the larger area of the southern um, well, not the southern region, the northern area of Tanzania, specifically north central area, is where most of the Serengeti ecosystem is concentrated, along with the Ngorongoro conservation area. Let's see, where was I? From here, the long-term goal for the groups that rescue these giraffes is to introduce other Rothschild giraffes from elsewhere in Kenya to those living in the sanctuary. Um, yeah, that would be an extremely good thing. So you could introduce more genetic variety to the region. These introductions will help build a genetically healthy population of giraffes that can eventually be released into the greater ecosystem outside the sanctuary. So that seems to be it. Well, that's really good to hear. Hopefully, these giraffes settle well into the ecosystem, and we start seeing these other Rothschild giraffes get to relocate to the region as well.
Plus, they also get a boat ride.
Yeah, that's fun too. The others, probably it'll be a bit more of a tedious journey, but they got a very smooth ferry trip. Okay, so heading to the next article from news.mongabay.com. Genome studies show 5 distinct elephant populations in India. Wow. Well, this is new. That seems like a very well maintained field. I'm used to them running through rice paddies and trying to trample people along the way. This
What are
is
they
like,
eating there?
um, I'm not entirely sure if this is India, which I'm guessing. Wait, yeah. Um, I don't know. This is probably during the wet season at some point. But what sort of grass they're feeding on? This is definitely not elephant grass, considering elephant grass would be covering the whole herd.
Oh, wait, elephants eat grass. I always get confused by that. I know they eat the hay, but
Yeah, elephants eat a variety of different species of shrubs, different types of trees, as well as grasses. However, if you're looking at African forest elephants, that specific species is more of a browser and tends to focus on different species of trees, but also different species of fruit is very important for their diet, more so than certain savanna elephant populations. Those savanna elephants, depending on where you are, especially over in southern Africa, so South Africa, Botswana, certain parts of Mozambique, there are different types of fruits. They'll go up to different palm trees and push on the palm trees to obtain the fruit. And even I think different fruits like the sausage fruits, like even hippos will feed on during the dry season. So it's not just a bit of a hydration or some sweetness to get into their mouth. There's actually quite a few nutrients that they're getting from the fruits. Asian elephants, depending on where they are in India, remember there's different types of ecosystems within the country. If you're in the northern region, especially along the bottomlands that are adjacent to the Himalayas, they're most likely going to be feeding on many different species of seasonal flood grasses and certain types of fruit. they might come into contact a lot more a bit further south, where the ecosystems are a bit more harsh. But let's continue. A study on the genetic history of Asian elephants in India has revealed that there are actually five genetically distinct populations in the country, more than earlier estimates. These populations were also found to have diverged from each other much earlier than previously thought. India hosts some 30,000 Asian elephants. That number hasn't changed. Well, okay. Oh, India. I was thinking all of Southern Asia. Um, I guess you could say that's probably risen in some instances, but I don't believe that there's been an update on the elephant population in many areas of Asia. So I take this with a grain of salt. Representing at least 60% of the global population of the species, researchers from the National Center for Biological Sciences and the Indian Institute of Science collected blood samples from wild elephants in captivity from various parts of India and sequenced their whole genome. There's a lot of captive elephants in India, and I wonder how many that would add to the population. Same thing goes for Thailand as well. Probably different parts of Bangladesh, Cambodia, Vietnam. Previous studies estimated three or four distinct elephant populations in India, but the new study showed that there are five genetically distinct ones, three in South India. Um, I forget that there's quite a few within southern India, but the question is where exactly? Because not every tiger reserve or every protected area within India itself has elephants, and there are other species that you'll find in certain other protected areas in India that you won't find in others. It's sometimes not even that they're necessarily extinct in the region; they're just not native to the area either, and one each in North and Central India. Researchers identified two geographical features that might have acted as barriers leading to the three populations in southern India: the Palgat Gap and the Shenkota Gap. Both are breaks in the Western Ghats mountain range, an important biodiversity hotspot. One distinct elephant population is found north of the Palgat Gap, while another lives south. A third population lives south of the Shenkota Gap. All five populations seem to have split from each other earlier than previously thought. We believe the central Indian population diverged. Okay, this is about to get interesting. From the northeastern population around 50,000 years ago. Wow. So that's during the very end of the Pleistocene epoch or the Ice Age.
Wait a minute, they've been around for 50,000 years?
Well, Asian elephants have been around for a much longer time, but you just have it where at this during the last, it seems, at least 50,000 years, certain populations split from each other. But Asian elephants have been around for over 300,000 years at least. The African elephants have been around for somewhere between 1 to 2 million years. Actually, no, over 2 million years over in Africa. The forest elephant might be more recent, but still at least 100,000 years. The population north of the Palgut Gap diverged from the northeastern population 70,000 years ago. Khan said a subset of the former population migrated to the south of the Palgut Gap, while a subset from the southern Palgut Gap population moved to the south of the Shenkota Gap approximately 20,000 to 30,000 years ago. It is amazing that while these specific populations of Asian elephant or Elephas maximus were diverging, you still had different populations of woolly mammoth towards the north, steppe mammoth, Paleoxodon, like Antiquus, which was the large straight tusked elephant of Europe and Northern Asia at the time, cave lions. There was a wide range of wildlife during this point in time. And however, the Australian megafauna, like the giant rhino sized wombats, the giant kangaroos, the giant relatives, the Komodo dragon, Megalania, had just gone extinct. Let's see. Khan said it's not often that such long histories are recorded in wildlife studies. Khan, like as in Shere Khan, the tiger? Conservation ecologist Aritra Shetty of World Wildlife Fund India, who wasn't involved in the study, told Manga Bay India the study is a milestone in elephant conservation. Oh, yeah, definitely. This is really good to see. He said, understanding elephant genomics has implications for identifying individual elephants and estimating their populations. and to trace poached items back to the affected populations. So, finish this off. Study author Uma Ramakrishan from NCBS said the genome sequencing database can also aid conservation prioritization. Smaller, vulnerable populations, like the one south of the Shinkota Gap, can be better assessed and prioritized for conservation, as the study suggests low genetic variation and high inbreeding in that population. Oh, yeah, that's always a concern with the smaller populations. Um, I'm guessing that the larger populations of Asian elephant within India are concentrated towards those seasonal flood grasslands within the bottomlands of the Himalayas. So, where they're also coexisting with greater one horned rhinos, other um, larger populations of tigers, the gar, bovids, or relatives, distant relatives of bison in the area. Similarly, better connectivity between the northern and northeastern populations is advisable because we don't want multiple isolated populations there. Yeah, there's really no point in having multiple populations if they're quite small and there's not any connection between each other. So that would need to occur. Um, anyway, let's go to the next article. So from omnibus.au.dk, real quick.
Yeah, I can't figure out how to pronounce that either.
Minister criticizes AU researchers' wolf assessment and chooses to disregard it. Well, let's take a look at what's going on here. The Minister for Green Transition, Jeppe Bruce, Social Democrat, has criticized the way AU researchers assess the wolf population in Denmark. Okay. And he has now chosen to disregard the researchers' advice. What? Why? Well, that's typical of these people. Professor Peter Sunde, who has been assessing the wolf population in Denmark since 2008, calling for substance in the minister's criticism and for Aarhus University to step in. That's probably a picture of a wolf over in some area of northern Germany or Denmark, judging by the ecosystem around it. By the way, dandelions are not native to North America; they're native to Europe. But animals like black bears, deer, occasionally even wolves love feeding on them.
Wait, doesn't Sid like them too?
Oh yeah. It's those are probably not the last ones of the season, but yes. Well, okay. Yes, actually, sloths in Europe would have probably fed on dandelions, so that is paleo accurate. Since the first wolf in modern times crossed the border from Germany back in 2012, there has been great interest in knowing how large the population of wolves is in Denmark. It's a small population, but they have been recolonizing the region in the past decade or two. Since 2018, researchers from the Danish Center for Environment and Energy at Aarhus University, led by Professor Peter Sunde, have been responsible for monitoring the wolf population in Denmark and advising the authorities in this area in collaboration with the Museum of Natural History in Aarhus. Although Peter Sunde is among the first to call the wolf a socially peripheral issue, he has repeatedly observed that the wolf attracts significant political attention and can make headlines in the media. Nevertheless, he was surprised when his assessment of the wolf population in Denmark recently became the subject of criticism from a sitting minister. In Highlands Posten on the September 16th, Minister for the Green Transition, Bruce, was quoted as saying that experts place too much emphasis on the wolf when estimating how many wolves Denmark can accommodate. Well, considering I think there's only somewhere between 20 to maybe 40 of them in the country, it can have needs many more. Um, So let's keep going. I think too much emphasis on understanding the biology of the wolf and too little emphasis on the neighbors and sheep farmers' conditions. Um, well, I think this is probably one of those instances where maybe the ranchers or the farmers are stating they don't want wolves in the area, which is odd considering I'm pretty sure they're very important to these people just, being in the area. But we're not even seeing any comments coming in from ranchers or farmers. This is just him. So
Well, here's a
he
question.
doesn't even live anywhere near the well, maybe he has some private land somewhere in the plains of Denmark, but
Here's
um,
my wonder is why don't they just put, like, collars on them to stop them from crossing into the what am I going for there?
you mean from going into like a certain farmer's
Yeah, why don't all the farmers put up the electrical style fence,
well,
which they put the collar on the wolf, and the wolf just won't cross into it.
also with the amount of money that these governments can put out there, instead it's being sent elsewhere. Yeah, they could. And instead it's just
I mean, they
they
collar these
don't want
guys
to.
anyway. Why not just stop them from crossing over?
Yeah, they could. I mean, same thing with like uh, giving money for people to purchase dogs or to keep the wolves at bay. So yeah, there's a lot of things that they can do. They just choose not to. In the article, the minister also criticized the fact that the researchers have changed the method used to calculate the number of wolves. Says that he almost had it presented in the press that they had now changed the calculation method at DCE without him having had any influence on it as minister. Um. Okay, so let's see. This isn't important. I would think that um I mean, yeah, he's mentioning that they're not taking the ranchers farmers into account, but why isn't there any mention of them anyway? Like, why hasn't he? Yeah, I doubt this person has even talked to them either, or you wouldn't even need to talk to them. It would just be pretty obvious by like certain conferences that occur. It's kind of like what goes on in Montana, Washington, maybe different parts of um, South Dakota or Minnesota where wolves are present. Um, Okay. Is there anything on the population? Here we go. The number of wolves in Denmark is politically interesting because it's the minister for the green transition had this week reported the wolf's conservation status to the European Commission. The conservation status of the wolf is important for the possibility of regulating the wolf population. Introducing hunting of wolves now already. I mean, I understand like your dogs are you having to go out and take care of like a wolf or maybe a pack that's actively hunting your livestock or is possibly being a threat to your family. But full on at this point, hunting the wolves, there's no sense behind it. That's just going to cause inbreeding, if there isn't already some.
It's even saying here that wolves, there's only 40 of them.
Let's take a look. There might be something different. A species conservation status is determined based on its distribution, population size, habitat, and prospects. With the new method, DCE estimates the Danish wolf population at 42 individuals, compared with 56 in 2023, based on the old method. Well, you could have had it where certain wolves died. We don't know how. Um, some part of me says I highly doubt there might have been, some massive overestimation. It's not like there were 200 and now it's down to 42. It's 56. It's always possible. They could have gotten sick. Maybe somebody killed them. Who knows? They starved somehow. Um, anyway, let's keep going. Omnibus has asked the minister why he believes that a method. No, that was probably the most important part of this. Um, I'm just taking a look real quick to see if there's anything else. Hold on a second. But regardless of whether the new or the old assessment method is used, the population is still far from the threshold of 100 individuals. 100, which DCE has previously considered as a possible limit for when the wolf population can be managed. 100. This is like with the cougars over in the Midwest. So, if you don't know what the Midwest is, well, there's a lot of states, but I'm specifically referring to states such as North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, Nebraska. I think Oklahoma is sometimes stuck in there, and then sometimes known as the South, but Missouri, Iowa, um, southern Wisconsin. That is insane. Oh, geesh. Okay, I think that's it. Wait, wow. Okay, yeah. Hopefully the population keeps growing. Let's continue. Down to earth.org. Genetic rescue, sim light pole to bring in 2 new females to increase genetic diversity, save tiger population. Oh, okay. Isolation and a lack of gene flow has resulted in inbreeding and associated risks in tiger reserve. First such plan for genetic rescue in India. I don't, I don't think it is, because if you're sending in new individuals, um, supposedly are not inbred to a specific population, especially when it comes to tigers, this isn't new. You're creating more genetic variety. So unless this is something completely different, maybe there's something about the tigers we haven't seen before. This isn't new. Oh, okay. Now I understand. This thing is like its own species. It's almost a black tiger.
So I said, "What is that?"
Yeah, it's I've heard of these, but I thought maybe it was just somebody's painting, or somebody literally painted their tiger. Anyway, about 60% of the tigers at Simlipal Tiger Reserve are melanistic at present. Simlipal Tiger Reserve is taking a new approach to safeguard the long term health of its tiger population. In a first for India, the Odisha Forest Department plans to introduce 2 new female tigers to the reserve to combat inbreeding in the reserve's unique tiger population by increasing genetic diversity. The reserve's residents include rare melanistic wild cats, which are pseudo-melanistic with thick and dark merged stripes, leading to their name black tigers. Um,
How did you not know about these guys?
no, I'd seen them before, but I thought it was possibly something that was just fake, and it actually wasn't a real population. STR's tiger population has grown over time, but isolation and a lack of gene flow has resulted in inbreeding. The tiger population is homozygous due to inbreeding, which means that the tigers here have 2 copies of bad genetic variants inherited from both parents. According to studies on other species, if this is not addressed, populations may suffer from inbreeding depression, meaning lower average fitness, ultimately leading to reduced population size and possibly extinction. The risk of tiger populations in India have previously collapsed as a result of adverse human impacts. Well, another thing was I thought these tigers were only held in captivity, because you tend to see, like in some cases, where people have bred lions, jaguars with each other, and you literally have a lion with spots. Weird, but it's also kind of fat and just a bit out of proportion, probably because those specific ones are barely moving. So not in the wild, though. This is quite interesting. Um, let's take a deeper look. Is there anything else? So, the male tiger was pseudo-melanistic, as the only tiger mated with other female wild cats. The traits got transferred. Eventually, the population increased, and as per 2024 figures, it stands at 24 adult tigers, out of which 10 are male. Today, 60% of the tigers are melanistic. Well, um, yeah, that is quite interesting, and that is quite a small population. So that's unfortunate to see. Let's see. So, high frequency of an otherwise rare phenotype in a small and isolated tiger population. So published by journal PNAS in 2020. Researchers found that the tiger population had a coding alteration in a gene called transmembrane aminopeptidase peptidase Q. They identified the mutation responsible for the pseudomonolithic appearance and suggested a higher occurrence of this mutation in STR because of isolation in fewer numbers. So, Go- Koginai said the melanism is natural and has no impact on the health of the population. It is not a negative indicator of health. However, homozygosity is not a good phenomenon for long term conservation, and hence bringing more individuals to diversify the gene pool is required. I think that means it's an indicator of bad genetic health. Maybe it doesn't really have an impact necessarily on their overall hunting ability, mates being attracted to them, but in terms of their overall genetics, it's not good. Studies recommend genetic rescue of such an isolated population, which means increasing the genetic variation by gene flow. In this case, by bringing more individuals to diversify the gene pool is required. I would still think because if you see, oh, that's a that's a black leopard. Only panthers and jaguars can become black. Um, but I would think with
Is
how
a panther and a jaguar the same thing?
yeah, a panther can refer to a black jaguar or a black leopard. But there aren't any black cougars, black bobcats, black lynxes. Technically, there haven't been any fully black tigers. But I would think that type of color pattern would pose some sort of a challenge or to the tiger's hunting ability, but maybe it hasn't. So let's see. Is there anything else? Um, so the proposal. Okay. The field officer said the state forest department has received an in principle approval to bring in 2 tigers, for which a detailed project report is being prepared. The proposal is in its final leg and will be submitted shortly to the central government and shared with Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra state governments. These are 2 different states in India. After which they may agree to donate the tigers. 2? What are the 2 being used for? You're only bringing in 2 to help the population? I mean, it comes to a point where, um, if they have a lot of genetic variety, then you should probably just leave them in the area that they're in if that specific population is doing well instead of taking 2 out and then helping this specific tiger population that doesn't have a lot of genetic variety. I would think it's not going to help very much. However, the Forest Service will have to be patient once the new set of female wildcats arrive.
Wait,
Um,
are they putting in the 2 black ones?
no, I think they're taking 2 female tigers from another sanctuary and putting them here. Um, yeah, I don't know why you would take a couple from here and then send them somewhere else. I definitely
Well,
would
if you
not want
took 2
that.
female, the black ones, and were mixing them with the other ones, then you would adding variety to that specific one and giving new genetics to.
Yeah, but the black ones have low genetic variety compared to the others. Oh, I thought you said if you took 2 from there and moved them to the ones that have a lot of genetic variety, it would
Yeah,
add.
that was my point.
N Yeah, but wouldn't that would cause problems for that specific healthy population because of their bad genetics.
Oh, okay.
So, um, let's see. That might be it. That's funny. The ultimate success of this management initiative will be determined, as previously stated by the field director, by how well the immigrant tigers integrate into Similipal and are able to mate with the individuals already present. Um, Now, maybe it works different with the specific tigers or specific mammals like tigers when it comes to helping increase that genetic variety. And it's just a handful of animals where it has a massive um, negative impact on. But anyway, um, let's go to the next one. Okay, so from the PubMed, anyway, from NIH.gov. I think this has something to do with this specific tiger reserve. High frequency of an otherwise rare phenotype in a small and isolated tiger population. Oh, so this is a quick explanation as to what's going on. Most endangered species today exist today in small populations, many of which are isolated. Evolution in such populations is largely governed by genetic drift. Empirical evidence for drift affecting striking phenotypes based on substantial genetic data are rare. Approximately 37% of tigers in the Similipal Tiger Reserve in eastern India are pseudomelanistic, characterized by wide merged stripes. Camera trap data across the tiger range revealed the presence of pseudomelanistic tigers only in Similipal. We investigated the genetic basis for pseudomelanism and examined the role of drift in driving this phenotype's frequency. Whole genome data and pedigree based association um, analyses from captive tigers revealed that pseudomelanism uh, congregates with a conserved and functionally important coding alteration in transmembrane aminopeptidase Q tap a gene responsible for similar traits in other felid species. Non-invasive sampling of tigers.
Okay, I wasn't going after this when I picked this.
Well, I think it mentioned this over in the other article, but this might go into a bit more detail. So, uh, I'll tell you what's going on here. Non-invasive sampling of tigers revealed a high frequency of the TACPEP.H454Y mutation. So, when you're looking at things like, as for instance, this type of mutation, maybe you're looking at different haplogroups of different organisms, it's going to have this type of a letter number combination to it. In Simlipal, 12 individuals, allele frequency equals 0.58, and absence from all other tiger populations, or 395 individuals. I'm guessing this is referring to within that state of India, because total in India, there's somewhere around 3,500 to 4,000 tigers. It has been steadily increasing.
And Denmark's complaining that they have 40 wolves.
Yeah. Also, when it comes to the leopard population in India, oh boy, just somewhere between 13,000 to 20,000 leopards. And they actively go after people but especially dogs too. And then you have the elephants, which will occasionally go into people's open barns and kill their cows. People too. Anyway, let's see. Do, do, do. Um, Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out real quick where I left off. Here we go. Population genetic analyses confirmed few minimal number tigers in Similipal and its genetic isolation with poor gene flow. Pairwise FST.33 at the mutation site was high but not an outlier. Similipal tigers had low diversity at 81 single nucleotide polymorphisms, mean heterozygosity equals 0.28, SD equals 0.27. Simulations were consistent with founding events and drift as possible drivers for the observed stark difference for allele frequency. Our results highlight the result of stochastic processes in the evolution of rare phenotypes. They highlight an unusual evolutionary trajectory in a small and isolated population of endangered species. That is interesting. I mean, I understand it was a small population, but how specifically this type of mutation all of a sudden evolved and they ended up just becoming darker. So that's interesting. So let's head over to the next article. Let's see what we have here. From news.mongabay.com, Northern Cameroon's lions are reproducing, but concerns remain. Of course they do. There's barely any in Cameroon. Cameroon is situated over in central sub-Saharan Africa. So, well, okay, technically mm, it's towards the western edge of the African rainforest. So you have like the Democratic Republic of the Congo is largest country in Central Africa, and then Cameroon, Gabon, I think Equatorial Guinea, concentrated over on the coast. Nigeria just north of it. Anyway, let's take a look what's going on here. Hey, they look pretty healthy. Are these a couple of males? Yeah, their fur's just about to just starting to come in, or their mane. Let's see. GPS tracking of 10 collared lions in Ubanigiwa National Park has confirmed multiple lionesses with cubs, indicating successful reproduction of Cameroon's highly threatened northern lion subspecies. Conservationists warn many cubs may not reach adulthood because dispersing young lions are exposed to snares, retaliatory killings, and other human pressures along the park's edges. Okay, let's take a look. Real-time monitoring has captured images of lionesses with cubs in Cameroon's Boubanida National Park, but conservationists warn human pressure makes it unlikely all the cubs will reach adulthood. There are now an estimated 60 to 80 lions in the 220,000 hectare or 544,000 acre park. Wow, in the country's far north. I didn't realize that this Puba National Park was that large. And despite the low population of lions, I mean, this is good to hear that I'm guessing they're increasing within this area. The question is, how is their genetic variety? All collar lionesses have had cubs, signaling successful reproduction. Ooh, that's really good. So let's see. Let's see. By Matthew Nels, Deputy Director of the Northern Cameroon Landscape for the Wildlife Conservation Society. In August 2024, Cameroonian biologists and rangers from WCS and the Ministry of Forestry and Wildlife fitted 7 lions in the park with GPS collars. A year earlier in 2023, local conservation NGO BED has also collared 3 lions, bringing the total to 10. The collars ping the lions' locations 4 times a day via satellite, enabling conservationists to monitor the big cat's movements. I do wonder, because I'm not too familiar where specifically location of this vast park is within Cameroon, but I do wonder what these lions are feeding on. I'm guessing they're going after forest buffalo. There aren't any pygmy hippos in this area. They're mostly situated in the Congo as well as the Okapi. The bongo possibly within the region, and then, what specifically referring to the forest bongo. Let's see, who else? Probably different species of monkeys. There's certain
Wait, there's different bongos?
yes, there are 2, specific subspecies of bongo. So you have the, mountain bongo over in Kenya, where there's a very limited population. They just reintroduced, a population of 17 or 18 individuals from a couple of areas over in Florida, and they flew them to Kenya just earlier in 2025.
Oh, bongos from Florida
Yeah,
moved to Kenya.
we actually, did a video on it shortly after this event occurred, and then, they have much shorter horns compared to the forest bongo for some reason, um, at least especially when you're looking at the females. But, the forest bongo are a bit larger, and there's also a larger population of them. But, I think it's a big rough estimate because it's just extremely hard to get an estimate on animal populations within the African rainforest area. So let's see. We can proactively prioritize those areas for patrols, ensuring protection from poachers. BOR helps the Cameroonian government's plan and prepare anti-poaching patrols. Oh, Paul Bohr, WCS landscape director. Okay, so despite the birth of cubs, there are still concerns about their survival. Paul Hudson, director of the NGO African Lion Conservation, who assisted in the collaring, warned of the likelihood that not all the cubs would survive to adulthood. Yeah, that is unfortunately something you have to take into account. Sometimes it can be like snakes coming up to them, especially over in the savanna regions where you have black mambas and they're venomous. They're also quite quick. Like they can slither somewhere between 15 to 25 miles per hour. And I believe, they're the ones that can spit venom, possibly. Am I thinking of the cobra? Anyway, they can um, they can kill adult lions too. Let's see. So, now known as Miss Boba for her striking beauty, she is the 5th lion collared in Bubanida National Park. Yeah, she seems, she seems to be pretty healthy, and her fur seems to be pretty much intact. And the reason why I'm saying this, especially in the dry season in different regions of sub-Saharan Africa, especially in the savanna realms, it's a bit more noticeable also in Western sub-Saharan Africa. So the small lion populations over in Senegal, Ghana, where else? Maybe Burkina Faso, Nigeria. Their their fur can get a bit deteriorated. But even if you're over in Eastern Africa or Southern Sub-Saharan Africa, so Kenya, South Africa, depending on how bad the dry season is, and if they don't have a consistent prey base and it's one of those migration areas, then you can see because of the lack of food, their fur just deteriorates. And you also tend to see skinny lions that aspect. But she seems pretty healthy. And likely the prey items in this region are making very short migration. So what I mean by that is a few miles maybe. So likely stay within the territory. It is difficult for lionesses to raise cubs. When the young lions leave the mother and start to move around looking for their own territories, they're exposed to high human pressures and intense impacts around the park's boundaries, with risks such as snares and killings. That must be quite a bit of work going in there and constantly having to remove snares that people are putting in the park, because it's not like there's a giant fence that, surrounds the area, which you wouldn't want anyway, because then it blocks other animals from being able to move in and not just have access to food, territory, but exchange genetics too. Let's see. Data also highlights ongoing population dynamics. that are vital for understanding lion prospects, with young males dispersing long distances across the landscape, making use of larger regions outside the national park. That tends to happen depending on what protected area you're referring to. You will have it to where there's available wilderness. The animals might have larger territories than inside the park. Let's see. WCS conservation experts are now recording the survival rates of the new cubs. It's this exploration that often puts young male lions into conflict with humans, resulting them in being caught in snares or shot, sometimes by poachers. Yeah, that's pretty common. However, the core lions, those that remain within the park and have established territories, are staying within their designated areas and display signs of interspecific fighting, indicative of territorial behavior. So that means that the lions that or the prides have their established territories. They are being seen fighting each other. And you can have it because most tend to think of it as like just males fighting each other. There are instances where a full blown pride of females, obviously, they have their own lead male. Sometimes you have it for a short amount of time. Or there might be a lioness that's actually leading the pride. And so it's almost like a bit of a matriarchal society to an extent. But at some point, a male comes in. But anyway, you have it where like a pride of 12 females over here, 18 females over here, and they clash. So um, that's that's actually a bit um, sad to watch. Like it's just a bunch of females fighting each other. But anyway, are staying within their oh, we see that. Okay. The search for the safest place and the largest amount of prey available explains the fights and wounds experienced by lions living in the center of the park. I will say, though, it is quite amazing when that occurs, like the fights between the females, because it just shows how much they care about their cubs, because those other females will kill their cubs. Um,
I thought it was only males that did that.
no, they will too. And they will even go after other adult female lionesses in the pride. I mean, obviously that's occurring within the fight, but yeah, that's also a major problem. And when you're thinking of the cubs, you're just thinking of them as like when they're chirping, when they're at that really small stage. Also, when the cubs are younger, the male lion will also let them eat with him, whereas their mothers have to wait until both of them are finished eating. But um, you can have it where a subadult male lion or any of them within the pride will be targeted by those females as well. So um,
Well,
that's how aggressive that they become.
what's a subadult though?
A subadult can technically still be at around 2 years of age or 2.5 years. They're not full grown at that point. So if you still see it where if it's not a full-blown mane on the male lion, it's like a thick amount of scruff. Actually, it can still be a decent sized mane, but still not fully mature. And you can have it where he's going to still have a problem with like a clan of hyenas. Once he gets to like 4 or 5 years old and pretty much outside of other male lions and not including larger herbivores, nothing pretty much touches him. So let's see.
Except an elephant?
Well, I wasn't including like, rhinos, elephants. There was an instance lately. I don't remember if it was in Kruger National Park over in eastern South Africa or maybe somewhere in like the Serengeti ecosystem. But judging by the ecosystem, like so much brush in the area, is probably the Kruger Park. A white rhino, I think it was also somewhat a younger individual, but I'd say a subadult. So um, it's weighing over 2.5 tons. Walked over to the male lion. He's just resting, kind of growls at it, and then the rhino kind of jumps in excited away and then charges him. And the lion's like, "Geesh, just resting here." Anyway, um, yeah, the rhinos can be annoying, but I mean, they have to be careful because you have instances where elephants, specifically bull elephants, will come over and more of the longer tusked individuals will stab into the center of a white rhino. So yeah, it's best that the rhinos avoid the elephants. Like when you see, white rhino versus elephant, who's going to win? I recommend that rhino just leave. Don't even bother. Let's see. Lion collaring in Buba Nidia National Park is part of an effort to return the park to its former splendor. Following the success of elephant collaring for after the pachyderm population was decimated by poachers from Sudan. Um, oh, wow. They came from all the way over there. Sudan's and I'm guessing it's also South Sudan, but it's possible it's from the probably the southern region of Sudan. And South Sudan became its own country back in 2011. Anyway, it's concentrated north of Kenya and Ethiopia over in East Africa, and this is on the completely opposite side of at least the Central Africa region. Anyway, unlike the more famous lions of southern East Africa, let's see, Panthera leo melanocheta, mel melanocheta. It looks like lions over in southern Africa are the largest, especially those situated in the Kalahari Desert, which is interesting considering in some cases they have less access to food sources than ones in Botswana, but I could be mixing up with the population because usually if you're the largest, um, predator in the region, you probably have you must have access to a lot of food. That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Um, anyway, let's see. Where were we? Cameroon's lions belong to the northern lion subspecies Panthera leo leo. The subspecies has lost most of its original range. Okay, let's go down. Okay. Lion Recovery Fund estimates about 80 lions live in Buba Nudiha out of Cameroon's total population of 270 lions. That's small for Cameroon, but it's good to see that they at least exist in the region. But considering the park's small size, Funston puts the number closer to 60 lions. He suggests the need for a new population survey, given that the last one was carried out in a 2015 survey. Oh, yeah. Wait a second. Um, so there's less lions now than there were previously, and there hasn't been a survey in 10, 11 years? Okay, so, let's see. WCS is working in partnership with the Cameroonian government to manage the park and to help tackle threats such as killing of lions, including targeted poaching and illegal livestock incursions. To support these management initiatives and to provide standardized lion monitoring, the Lion Recovery Fund awarded WCS a $350,000 grant over 3 years in 2020. So here's another. Oh, this seems kind of like a dry, scrubby area. This doesn't look very Cameroon-like. Oh, that's probably because
Somebody
it is
looks
somewhere
thin
else.
too.
Yeah, this might be a lion maybe over in Angola, which is south of, Cameroon, Gabon. It could be one over in Botswana. Um, maybe well, it's referring to Central Africa. I'm guessing it's in that, area. So let's see, is there anything else? The main threat to wildlife in Buba Ndia National Park is uncontrolled pastoralism, which results in habitat encroachment and increased competition for resources with livestock. So basically, you just have it where farmers or ranchers are just grazing their cattle or goats.
No,
Well,
no, no, Famers.
yeah. Let's see. So, um, let's see. I'm just like to see if there's anything else relevant.
Those were some strange looking lions.
Yeah. Um, I think that's it. Okay. Well, this is good to hear, but yeah, it seems like the Lions are having a bit of an issue at the moment, at least with their overall population. But it's good to see that they're reproducing. Too bad we didn't see any cub photos. Anyway, let's continue. This is different. All right, from WinnipegFreePress.com. So, for those of you that don't know, Winnipeg is the capital of Manitoba, Canada. Manitoba, Canada is also where Churchill, the polar bear capital of the world, is located. Technically, not the largest population of polar bears on Earth, but it's the most famous polar bear region to view them. Anyway, off from polar bears, cougar makes rare
I
appearance.
thought Churchill was the most popular place.
Well, it is the most popular. I just meant it doesn't have the largest polar bear population.
Oh, okay.
Cougar makes rare appearance in Manitoba. A cougar made a rare appearance on trail camera in the Whiteshell Provincial Park. The cougar slowly walked forward and stopped briefly to sniff the camera. The image was captured on video on October 28th at 4:50 a.m. So guessing, okay, it's 2025. Danny Alexander, who posts videos of bears, wolves, deer, and other animals roaming around the Whiteshell east of Winnipeg on his Danny Boy Wildlife social media account, said he was thrilled to virtually bag a cougar. Well, it's nice to hear it's coming from a camera. Oh, yeah. He's like, so you're spying on me now, huh? Well, let's make sure you get good footage.
I always find it interesting they just come right up to the cameras. I wonder, do they have lights on them? Maybe they've got a red light on them.
They could. Cougars have really good night vision as well. I was absolutely shocked when I saw it. A cougar was high on my list of wildlife I wanted to capture. Of all the animals I've captured, I've never captured a moose, wolverine, and cougar. Wow, that's shocking, especially in Canada. Like you're in Manitoba and you haven't captured a moose. Wow. Cougar was the last I thought I would get. Sean Johnson Weiss, formerly a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Manitoba, said spawning a cougar in Manitoba is a rare sighting. Well, especially in the southern region, it might be. Well, actually, overall, that is quite rare. I'm forgetting that this is Eastern Canada. When you're over in Alberta, British Columbia, it's definitely much more common. Yukon, it's not common there at all. Well, yeah, it's quite rare. It's just not preferable habitat and just a certain amount of prey items within a, certain region. Also, Alaska, they're quite rare. But Manitoba, even different parts of Saskatchewan, and also once you reach Ontario, Quebec, they are almost non-existent. However, you probably do have certain cougars that are roaming from the western states. They're making it all the way to the eastern states, to the lower 48 of the United States, and then eventually making it into eastern Canada. But, those are rare individuals.
Is that because it's too cold for them?
It's probably a harsher in many instances over in Western, Canada because you have those vast mountain ranges over in British Columbia and Alberta, but, you can definitely get massive winds over in Manitoba, Saskatchewan. So let's see. Okay, he said the animal likely came from a permanent cougar population in either Saskatchewan or North or South Dakota. Oh, yeah, that I forget. They could just I was thinking of Quebec and Ontario, and if they're headed to Saskatchewan, Manitoba, they just have to take, um, a left if they were heading east from the Rockies and, make their way up to, Canada. There's no evidence yet that cougars have established a breeding population in Manitoba or are permanent residents. Most are individuals which are dispersing or looking to find a new home. Johnson Weiss said most suspected cougar sightings turn out to involve a bobcat or a Canada lynx. In this case, the video clearly depicts a cougar. It's a bit of an issue when it comes to all these sightings that claim there's a mountain lion or a cougar in the area, but I'm like, how do you confuse a house cat or possibly a bobcat with cougar? Like, sometimes I think just people don't know what a cougar is. Let's see.
How large do bobcats get?
They don't usually reach much more than 30 pounds or a little over 12 kilograms. So, and Canada lynx can become slightly larger, pushing over 40 pounds. There are larger individuals or 18 kilograms, but cougars also the whole body shape is distinct. I mean, there are certain like shadow images, or it's like this slightly large um, cat in the darkness, and it has this somewhat cougar look to it. And house cats are more closely related to cougars
How
than
large
other.
do the cougars get?
Large cougar can reach over 220 pounds, or pushing a little over 110 kilograms.
So, basically, it's 8 times the size?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a large male. Female is not usually exceeding 150, 160 pounds. That's a big individual, or a little over 70 kilograms. Let's see. Oh, Okay. He said this sighting in Manitoba shows the big cat is slowly moving eastward. A breeding population was found earlier this year in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Well, we reported also recently about that um, confirmed mother with her cubs. It was also seen in the previous spring, but
Was that yesterday?
yep, and um, I'm not sure if this is from another incident and there's evidence for breeding population or it's just mistaking that specific family. So it's good to see. Let's head over to the next article. So from kfyrtv.com, North Dakota Outdoors, elk research findings. Oh, well, let's see what's going on here. Findings from a 5-year elk study in western North Dakota will help guide management of the once in a lifetime species that continues to thrive in the Badlands. Those of you that don't know, North Dakota is just east of Montana and west of the state of Minnesota, and just south of Canada too. Good. So let's see what's going on here. In North Dakota, it tends to be put to the side when it comes to animals in general. You have different bison herds in the region, a large amount of waterfowl or different species of ducks, geese that come to the region during the fall, especially like October. And then you also have where there are different elk populations within the area. So you also have where rivers like the Missouri run through here, and also correlating with different elk populations. Cougars are coming back to North Dakota, and you have less often seen black bears within the state, mainly because there's not a lot of habitat for black bears. Mostly concentrated in like the northern region, some tortoise national park, and then towards the eastern part of the state. So oh, he's got a collar on him. So this is somewhere in the Badlands. So this is probably over towards part of western North Dakota, and that also, um, correlates with the Badlands ecosystem of South Dakota, which once you also travel south enough, you bump into different fossil sites for late Cretaceous dinosaurs, so dating to around 67 million years ago, and you eventually find animals like Triceratops, T-Rex, Edmontosaurus, Quetzalcoatlus. These seem to be really healthy bulls, but he seems to be in ragged shape. Mainly his fur. A good, looks like a decent, rack, just referring to when you're talking about racks when it comes to deer, you're referring to their antlers. These seem to be different populations, so these are different herds within the western part of the state, so they are pretty much connected to each other except that dark green herd. So that's really good to see. Anyway, let's take a deeper look. Once we saw that the elk are going to be a long-term component to the Western Badlands, we knew that there was information that we needed: elk movements, home ranges, resource selection, what type of habitats are they using, their survival rates, and then also to develop a population monitoring program. Starting in 2019, the North Dakota Game and Fish Department, in cooperation with the University of Montana and PhD student Dan Marina, captured and marked 149 elk to get an inside look into the lives of these animals. That's a decent amount of elk. I'm guessing they're from different herds too. They were equipped with GPS collars that collected location every 2 hours. So in the course of this study, our graduate student, Dan Marina, is working with just under 1.1 million elk locations when he's completing his analyses. Whoa! I'm guessing that's all those different dots the elk's been. According to the study, the average home range of a cow elk is about 50 square miles, or about a township and a half. And a bull elk's home range is about 70 square miles, or roughly 2 townships in size. I haven't heard of the, reference township. On just an average day, elk are moving between 2 and 3 miles a day. So it's really good information on movement home range. Elk are doing well in the Badlands, and their numbers have been increasing for the last 10 years. There are 9 discrete herds in the Badlands, including those in the park. And, oh, I wonder which park, like Badlands National Park? That's down in South Dakota. And these herds overlap very, very little. So, yeah, that's really key for management. And now we can define those areas when we have issues with too many elk within a particular herd. We can do targeted harvest approaches with private landowners to address those areas where they might be exceeding landowner tolerance. What is that supposed to mean? I'm guessing it has to do with maybe worry about, what is it, disease transmitting to the cattle, or maybe it's overgrazing by, the elk compared to the cows. So, also, when it comes to animals like white-tailed deer eat very little grass.
Wait,
It's
do
very
elk attack people?
Oh, yeah. But usually it's when you get too close. It's kind of like moose. I'd say in some cases, like mule deer or whitetails, but also, especially during the rut, can be a bit more aggressive and come up to people. Usually, also if they've been, well, maybe it's not because they're feeding them because they're just hungry or um, they just end up bullying people. But elk, moose, you have to get a bit closer to them.
Who keeps covering people's houses?
As in, what do
It
you
was up at
Oh, no, it is the elk. Yeah, it's over in, I think what was it, Montana or Colorado or Wyoming, where last year elk, like, during the ruts actually afterwards too, so, yeah, it was, like, late September, early October, into late October, early November, and herds of, like, 80 to 120 animals were just, um, blocking people's way to their houses, literally just covering their front yards, they're on their porches, it was great to see, but, we don't know the approximate, um the estimate of the population of these, elk herds over in North Dakota. I'm surprised that we haven't seen that. Yeah, it's not going to mention. That's unfortunate. Is that it? Yep. Okay, let's head over to the next article. So from the Hindu.com. As Project Cheetah turns 3, female cheetah relocated from Kuno to Gunhi Sagar. So, yes, in the past few years, we have seen cheetah relocations from South Africa to India, mainly because of the South Africa poaching problem. Also, when it comes to cheetahs, you have it where lions, hyenas, leopards, and then I'll take into account those black mamba snakes. And then you have the Burmese or the African rock pythons in the region. Cheetahs have a load of problems. So, let's see what's occurred. Gandhi Sagar now has 3 cheetahs, including 2 males who were moved there from Kuno in April this year. Oh, there he is. Or is that a female? Female cheetah Dira. Hmm,
what is it, a jumping competition?
yeah. Let's see. Female cheetah was on Wednesday, September 17th, 2025, released on the Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary in Madhya Pradesh's Mansar district after the big cat was relocated from Kuno National Park and Shuapar district. Oh, so that wasn't hitting me. So they moved it from another part of India, and I was thinking one of the South Africa ones, but definitely a descendant from the South Africa population at some point, and they moved it here. So I'm guessing where they're putting these cheetahs, the tiger population is non-existent because you don't want it where tigers are hunting the cheetahs. Dira, a 7.5-year-old African cat, well, she's definitely not young, was relocated to the sanctuary on the third anniversary of the Cheetah Project, a program to reintroduce the species in the country. Now, she does have plenty of time to reproduce. Um, I mean, she's definitely not old, but just I was thinking 3, 4, um, maybe even younger, but looking at the overall body structure of the blurred image, she's definitely a full-grown cheetah. Gandhi Zagar now has 3 cheetahs, including 2 males, Prabhas and Pawak, who were moved there from Kuno in April this year, making the sanctuary the second home of the species since their reintroduction. Oh, okay, so there's only been one specific protected area that they've been concentrating in, um, and now they're moving them to another area. Oh, this is fun to see. So let's take a deeper look. Let's see. 3 cats wander inside a 64, I think it's 64. Hold on. Square kilometer fenced enclosure at Genzigar, situated along the Tumbal River. Move is aimed at enhancing the cheetah population at Genzigar, according to officials. Between Kuno and Genzigar, India currently has 27 cheetahs. Whoa! Well, that was quick. That's good to see. Including 11 adults translocated from African nations, 6 females and 5 males, and 16 Indian born cubs. Wow. And there's pretty much for the most parts, it's outside of what pythons, nothing to attack them. In fact, I think I've even heard in that specific area that they were um, relocated to, they even removed pretty much or most of the leopard population in the area. In just 3 years, now you do have striped hyenas, but striped hyenas don't. First of all, they don't really hunt in clans. Um, but also the males are larger than the females, as opposed to spotted hyenas, where the females are larger than the males. But they don't really tend to attack other predators. They might try to steal a carcass, but that's pretty much it. In just 3 years, Project Cheetah has seen the birth of multiple litters, with the cheetah population in India rising to 27 despite natural setbacks, a living symbol of resilience and hope. Um, the event also coincided with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Madhya Pradesh's Dar, where he laid the foundation stone for India's first PM mega integrated textile region and apparel park, and launched various other projects on September 17th, his 75th birthday. On the same day in 2022, Mr. Modi had released 8 cheetahs translocated from Namibia. Oh, okay, I forget they were coming from there too. Um, at Kuno, kickstarting India's cheetah reintroduction program after their extinction in 1952. Later, 12 cheetahs were also brought from South Africa and released at Kuno. Yeah, people, many don't know, but the cheetah used to thrive throughout different parts of not just sub Saharan Africa, but Northern Africa, into the Arabian Peninsula, much of Western Asia, probably not including Russia, maybe different parts of the Caucasus Mountains, so the Azerbaijan, Georgia, Armenia region, and maybe certain parts of Kazakhstan. But outside of that, they were roaming pretty much all of Western Asia and including India, as well as different brown bear populations, tigers, lions in the region. So let's see, is there anything else? Oh, later 12 cheetahs were also brought from South Africa and released. I think that was it. Well, it's good to see that their population is increasing, but now they're relocating them to other regions. Hopefully, their genetic variety keeps up, even though it's a cheetah and they don't have a lot of genetic variety. Um, it's just glad to see that these animals are reproducing. So, moving forward, let's see what's going on here. Okay, so from the Barents Observer, looks like we got a wolf here. What's going on? So, Pacific Valley. Wolf population on the rise in northern Norway. So wolves caught on camera in the Pacific Nature Reserve, Finnmark County this summer. So Finnmark is it's the most northern county within um, Norway, and so it's adjacent to northern Sweden as well. I mean, is it Sweden or no? It's northern Finland and Russia. So they seem to come from Russia. Researchers tell the Barents Observer. The northern part of Norway, particularly the county of Finnmark, has seen an increase in the wolf population this year, according to a report by the Norwegian Large Carnivore Monitoring Program. According to the researchers, the neighboring Finland also experiences up to 5 times more wolves. The video published by Rivdata shows a wolf running next to a barn in the Pacific area of Finnmark County on November 18th. I think this was possibly 2024 when this occurred?
But are the birds attacking him?
Yeah, I was wondering, though if it's a maybe it's, seems to be.
That looks like they're attacking.
'Cause
Like, get out.
ravens and crows tend to correlate and cooperate with the wolf. Wonder who this is. It seems healthy, though.
Maybe they're directing him?
I don't know, it looks like something like a magpie, it's probably not. Let's see. Last year, we had almost nothing, but this year there are 4 individuals on the north of Norway. Dr. Jonas Keinberg, head of research at the Norwegian Institute for Nature Research. We know from the DNA tests that they are not from Finland or Norway. They appear to have come from Russia. Well, unfortunately, the wolf population over in Norway and even Sweden does not have a lot of genetic variety. It also does seem to be that the Norwegian and possibly like Swedish subspecies of wolf has gone extinct, but there are wolves in both countries. Norway might have as few as 50 to 80 wolves within the whole country. So that's extremely low. And let's see, I think Sweden might have as few as like 300 to 400. It's not many. So it's good to see that we have wolves coming in from Russia, and they do have a lot of genetic variety from the wolves in Russia. Also, Finland, I think they're better too, only because they're pretty much Russian wolves in Finland. Dr. Keinberg adds that he doesn't know exactly why more wolves are crossing the border from Russia into northern Norway and Finland. Such an increase is unusual for northern Norway, as the main wolf population is concentrated in the southern forests of the country. Well, I think they're somewhat like the central part of Norway, but because you just have it where wolves in Russia are just looking for more territory, maybe better prey access, and they're finding it in these regions. So let's see. Um, Researchers in Norway can't be sure about the situation because they don't have the latest figures for the wolf population on the Russian side of the border. All scientific cooperation between the two countries was suspended after Russia's full scale invasion of Ukraine. Oh yeah, this was like this what we reported. I think the same newspaper um, reported about brown bears also making it into Finnmark as well during around this same time. So it's interesting, but yeah, the whole like thing where all of a sudden you couldn't cooperate with wildlife conservation organizations with Russia. It's like what? What?
Yeah, that seems a little ridiculous.
Like
One,
Ukraine's all the way at the south. Like it's just funny. Of course, it would have been interesting to know a lot more about what's going on in the Karelian wolf population. We want to know as much as possible. We don't really know, but it seems that the wolf population there is increasing. That's something is happening on the other side of the border. David Nyha, a researcher at the Norwegian Institute for Bioeconomy Research, showed the Barents Observer pictures of the wolves taken by NIBIO cameras in the forests of the Pacific Nature Reserve in Mark County this summer. We don't often get wolves on camera, and for comparison, we didn't have any last year. This could be due to luck or increased wolf activity in the area. Let's see. Personally, I haven't seen a wolf other than on camera. But there have been more sightings of wolves by local people, and It's become a more frequent topic lately. I'm guessing right in the picture he's holding piece of shed wolf fur. So it's definitely DNA on that, and I would wonder if like they would take that in and just see um maybe just get a health checkup on the wolf. The question is how old is the shed fur? So something could have happened shortly afterwards. David stressed that wolves are not dangerous to humans and usually try to avoid them. That's very Norwegian. However, wolves are large predators that can hunt reindeer or sheep. Wolves can also attack loose dogs when they meet in the forest. This usually happens during the hunting season when dogs run away from their owners while chasing game. Um, Interesting. Wow. Okay, so there's the map. I'm guessing that little tiny section in Norway, that's where everything is, or that's where that specific nature reserve is. And then there's Russia and Finland. So I'm guessing there's probably even wolverines maybe making it to the area, but I'm not entirely sure. There's bound to be probably yeah, reindeer, they're definitely concentrated within this area. Most of them though being the semi-domesticated herds or belong to the semi-herders of like northern Sweden, Finland, Russia, Norway. And it's like certain part of the year they're just allowed to freely roam. So you might have it where the wolves are hunting them, or they definitely are. Red deer in certain instances. Well, maybe not this far north. But besides that, this is good to see that wolves, especially with a lot of genetic variety, are moving in from Russia. So let's head over to the next article from Azulum. Asluminaria.org. Oh, Arizona luminaria. Still doesn't help. Okay. Ocelot spotted on new trail cam video moving through southern Arizona. Crossing a highway in the Santa Cruz River, the ocelot's movement shows the size of its range. What's going on here? Is he fishing? Hmm. Well, ocelots are seen over in southern Arizona. Not often, but they do exist within the region. So also coexisting with coatis or coati mundis, so relatives of the raccoon and who else? What's that other guy? Right, there's a wide range also of different species, coati mundi as well. A wild ocelot has been making tracks in the Sky Islands of southern Arizona. Also, these cats get to somewhere around 20 pounds, slightly larger, so a little over 9.
So they're that small?
Oh, yeah, ocelots are not very large. There's also a small population in South Texas, um, which is somewhere between like 100 to 120 individuals.
I'm always shocked at how many types of felines there are.
Yeah, there's another one. Is it the jaguarundi? A very small species of cat. I believe it's somewhere around 10 to 15 pounds or a little over 6 kilograms.
So basically, it's a house cat.
Somewhat. It's quite arboreal. It will actually hang out on taller species of shrub or bushes, certain species of trees. They're very elusive or secretive. I mean, so are ocelots, but a little more jaguarundi. Let's see. So, appearing twice this summer on wildlife cameras, the latest detection first announced today challenges prior understanding of what the ocelot range is in the region. The rare spotted feline was first caught by a wildlife camera in the Atascosa Highlands west of Nogales in June of this year. It was detected by researchers from the Phoenix Zoo. A little more than a month later, after crossing Interstate 19, it was spotted in another mountainous region in southern Arizona. Well, I definitely have to give it to this ocelot. It made it across the interstate without getting ran over. Russ McSpadden, a Southwest conservation advocate at the Center for Biological Diversity, along with intern Clara Smith, were the first people to check the wildlife camera with a new sighting. Let's see, I shouted with joy when I realized what I was seeing on the trail cam. This incredible footage shows us that ocelots belong in our Sky Islands despite all the threats they face, said McSpadden. Okay, so this is probably from the trail cam in this region of Arizona. So south of Tuscan. Hmm. It looks like I'm guessing that's a water hole. Looks like a water hole. Not sure if there would be fish in it. Oh yeah, that's definitely a very healthy ocelot. Look how puffy his tail is. Okay, so it is a water hole. Hmm. He's probably feeding on different species of small rodents in the area. Occasionally, maybe going after mule deer fawns. Let's see who else.
Are they reptile lovers?
In terms of appetizers, yes. Also love amphibians for a second course too, or dessert maybe. So, yes, this seems to be a healthy individual. I mean, also, I mean, for a desert ocelot, I mean, he just seems to be in good condition. Like the spot pattern, they have each ocelot has its own distinct spots. Just spot pattern. McSpadden said experts thought the ocelot had a smaller range in the region, but the new detection is blowing that conception open. It traveled a really long distance, moving well over 30 miles. It crossed 919, showing that kind of highway is not an impenetrable barrier. To have made it to the new sighting, the cat must have also crossed the Santa Cruz River, which advocates are hoping to establish as a national wildlife refuge. Oh, wow. Well, that's really good to see. Protected under the Endangered Species Act since 1982, the ocelot is about the size of a bobcat, but known for its distinctive jaguar-like spotted markings or rosettes. Yeah, bobcats can get a bit larger than ocelots, but I guess the ocelot put a little more into the overall length of itself when evolving, as opposed to the bobcat, which was a bit more focused on height. So, um, I guess it's referring to the distinct patterns of the ocelot, and these are different individuals at the waterhole. July 2024, June 2024. Or it's the same. Oh, it's just saying the ocelot. Wow. So it looks like it's established a territory here and decided to stay. It was the pattern of rosettes that led Carmina Gutierrez Gonzalez, a research coordinator for the Northern Jaguar Project, to confirm that the latest detection was the same ocelot seen a month earlier west of Nogales. So she probably is also looking out for different rare jaguar sightings over in southern Arizona that come in from northern Mexico. Researchers believe there are fewer than 100 ocelots in the US. Whoa, oh, I didn't realize that they were that rare within southern Arizona. Are we sure? That seems a bit low because you're taking in that South Texas population, unless they've decreased even more. I would think it would be much more with the majority in southern Texas. Is this ocelot thing like the Jaguars, or just like one or two making it in? Oh, there has to be more than that. Arizona is home to a small but crucial population, which exists at the northernmost part of the species range. They range all the way down to different parts of Brazil when it comes to the ocelot. So they range from southern Arizona, New Mexico, historically California, Texas, basically all along the
So
Rio
there's not
Grande.
100 of them.
Oh, no, no, no. There's tens of thousands in existence, mostly concentrated within Mexico, Central America, and South America. They live through a wide range of habitats, so different tropical rainforests as well as like different scrub deserts, coastal areas. They're quite adaptive in many instances. Let's see, is there anything else? Mm, it's just a picture. Expanded said this particular cat really appears to be on the move. It could be moving through either of those mountains where the proposed copper world mine, the Santa Rita Mountains, and the Hermosa mining project in the Patagonia Mountains are located. Um, any mining activity would push it away from that area and
Where are the
limit its
Patagonia
ability
Mountains?
to survive. Oop.
Where are the Patagonia Mountains?
I believe, unless they misstated it, it's another mountain range within Arizona. But if you're referring to Patagonia, there are a wide range of different mountains, which Patagonia is situated between part of Chile, southern area of Chile, and Argentina. So that would be southern South America, and there's a wide range of different mountain ranges within those two countries. And if you would refer to the Patagonia Mountains to somebody like me, I would have a big glimpse as to what you're referring to, but there are still different specific mountain ranges within that area. It's like when most people think of North America and they think of mountain ranges, you might have it where the Smoky Mountains appear in their mind, but the Smoky Mountains is just a small area of the Appalachian Mountains, and it's also in the southern range. It does have the highest elevation. It's like one of the only regions within the Appalachian Mountains with like spruce or Christmas trees in the area. And then you might have it where the Rocky Mountains appears. But the Rocky Mountains is also only a certain part of well, only a like one of many mountain ranges within North America as well, despite extending from northern New Mexico all the way to north eastern British Columbia and northwestern Alberta. So let's see. Um, to U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in May eliminated nearly 65,000 acres of the more than 640,000 acre protected jaguar habitat in southern Arizona. I'm not sure what they mean by that. Um, if you just have it where people can just purchase the land, I think in most cases it's going to be fine. But there's like a couple of jaguars that come in and out of Arizona to Mexico, or just back and forth between the state and the country. So I wouldn't really call that much of a setback. Let's see. Is this going to mention more about the jaguars? Recently, the U.S. Forest Service and the Fish and Wildlife Service announced plans to open roads in Arizona's Chiric- Chiricahua Mountains, part of the Coronado National Forest. In response, the center and four other environmental groups sued to give jaguars a chance to roam without vehicle traffic. There's none there. The Sky Island Mountains are not just okay. This is a funny ending. I'm glad that ocelot's it looks like it's established territory. There's a fresh water hole next to it. Water if there's a water hole, especially over in Arizona, there's likely mule deer. Maybe there's also probably like wild mustangs or horses and mules or donkeys in the area, but not including them. Sometimes you even have feral cattle. Oh, if you're over in New Mexico, there's invasive gemsbok or like the um, Namibian oryx within the region, but not including them. Certain bighorn sheep in the area and forgot outside the mule deer, probably certain pronghorn populations. Elk are concentrated in northern area of Arizona.
And you're leaving out all their appetizers.
Oh yeah, jackrabbits. Let's see, wide range of different reptiles and amphibian appetizers. So let's head over to final article from newscientist.com. Zebras bob their heads at each other to signal cooperation. Head bobbing seems to be a way for zebras to invite others to groom, graze, or move together, suggesting sophisticated social and cognitive capabilities. So I wonder where this was taking place. Z-
Why do they always sound like animals are stupid?
Many people do portray them that way. Um, they're very intelligent, and it is amazing how many times herbivores will cooperate with each other to trick a predator even another species of herbivore or another, let's say, herd of their own species that they simply don't want to deal with, but just how to, um, in some cases, make that herd more susceptible to predation than theirs. Zebras bob their heads to attract attention and initiate social interactions, such as grooming or moving together. This may be one of the few documented examples of signals that animals use to coordinate their behavior. I wouldn't. I wouldn't say that. Capacity for multiple animals to focus on shared goals or objects in their environment, known as joint attention, is key to cooperation in humans. It has rarely been investigated in wild animals. Uh, Wolves, canids in general, hyenas, lions. Not just them. I mean, elephants, gorillas. Oh, that's an omnivore. Okay, keeping the primates out. Actually, they can be a bit more solitary, especially if you're referring to orangutans. But, let's see, a wide range, like different species, gazelle, deer, they're very, uh oh, come on. Well, that was unfortunate. Okay, well, I really do wonder where this was taking place, considering there's different, zebra populations all over sub-Saharan Africa. They're not as vast as people might think that they are. I think there's somewhere around total a little over a million zebras, but I haven't seen any current estimates on their population pop up yet. Now, we also don't know if it was a mountain zebra, a gravy zebra, or a plain zebra, with the plain zebra being the most common. So, hope you enjoyed this live stream. And from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guy Live Daily News. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you love talking about animals, and share this show with everyone you know.